Yes, in many cases, this is why markets have to be more carefully regulated. And you have to realize that every market in the world is regulated. Markets cannot function if people can steal and cheat. So you have to have rules and enforcement. Otherwise, forget it. It's not going to work. And these markets, just like this market for oil, we have not paid the full cost, whether it's climate change, coastal impacts, and right down the line. And if we did pay the full cost, then renewable resources would be more properly priced. And we'd use more of them. We'd invest better.
David Batker is an ecological economist and executive director of Earth Economics. I was speaking to John Ralston Saul recently, and he said that in terms of economics within universities, that anyone who thought like you, David, had been chased out years ago. How have you survived? Where have you come from?
Well, I think, the economics profession, yes, I came out of, we used to work in a coal mine. I was a geologist. And we had 10 seams of coal, they mined 3. 7 were wasted. I did a life of the mine calculation and said, look, this mine could last 140 years or it can last like 40 years. And they said, well, we make 1% more profit this way. And I said, yeah, for 40 years? Doesn't make sense. I went to graduate school in economics because I disliked the way we treated our resources and our renewable resources and natural systems. And I think this exactly typifies the problem. We must have a longer-term view. We cannot treat these resources. So, yes, I think, 10 years ago, these ideas were not well accepted. Now they are much more more.
Is this a renaissance for your kind of economics? Are you hitting it at the moment, David?
Yes. More and more. It's amazing. We work on flood protection. We work on all the variety of issues, and in every area what we found now, we're casting issues differently. Here in Seattle, we have a watershed, and the water is filtered by the forest. That the city has avoided $250 million for a filtration plant for over 100 years. That decision to buy the watershed 100 years ago would never have been made with the current economic decision-making because for maximizing present value, it was crazy. But, in fact, it's paid off tremendously. It was a great decision. We just worked with a group of cities here saying, let's form a watershed utility investment district where we combine stormwater. Right now, 16 cities are pushing stormwater into the Green River as fast as possible. And then you've got Boeing and the port downstream saying, oh, my gosh, we're getting flooded out. We need to spend more on levees. So we waste money on one set of infrastructure to demolish another set of infrastructure. So these cities have wisely said, let's get together. Let's restore this watershed. We get better flood protection, better salmon restoration, et cetera, by using the benefits of natural systems. So I think decision makers in the public are getting it.
And that drive to hear that you actually came out of the mining industry is very...
That's right. I did, and I also worked in the oil industry briefly.
Okay. So I suppose you could be cast out as kind of nutty, lefty, green economists. But does that resonate when you say, well, actually I've worked in mining and in the oil industry?
People are surprised. They are surprised. And it's why I think also, these issues, they sort of transcend politics a bit. For instance, one of our arguments here in some very conservative communities is nature is providing these goods and services for free and in perpetuity if it's healthy, like flood protection and such. Wreck the system, now you have to have a tax district. You have to build a bunch of levees. Then you have to maintain the levees. And suddenly those who, were saying, oh, well, you kind of leftist environmentalists are saying, well, this makes really good economic sense.
So watching, you would be like the rest of the world on your TV, watching and the scrambling to kind of come up with some kind of technology to suck the oil up, and the pictures of birds dying and the dead marine life. How are you responding to those pictures?
Oh, it's just a shock. It's horrific. And I actually spent 5 years in Louisiana. I also worked for the Louisiana Geological Survey. So we did this report because this is a group of us who have spent time in Louisiana, and we know the value. And it's heartbreaking. And to think of the period of time this is going to have impact over is tremendous. And I think it's a real reflection for Australians because you've got huge assets in the Great Barrier Reef, huge assets in your watersheds, providing benefits to the people of Australia. And we need to value these natural systems. Sometimes they require investment for restoration, like the Mississippi Delta, but that's a good investment. We've calculated the returns are generally $6 or more on the dollar invested in public benefit.
So you still believe in the market?
Oh, no, but not necessarily. Here's what I believe. This is a great question, Alex. Markets should do what they're good at. And I think producing cars and plastic toys or a variety of things, markets are good at. Let's let them do what they're good at. Markets are not good at dealing with public goods. Like flood protection, you can't say, okay, you didn't pay your bill, well, you're going to have 10 feet of water on your property and your neighbor isn't. So it doesn't work markets don't work for other public goods, drinking water, a huge variety of things, flood and storm protection, etc. So these are areas where you have to have a strong government agency, public utility, or different structure. And it really depends on the physical nature and the community. So we can't assign markets to take care of our climate. It's gonna melt down if we do.
Because we've just had an emissions trading scheme shelved here, David Batker.
Yes, I know.
Which is a market response, of course. But David, fascinating to talk to you. Thanks so much for taking our call there in Seattle.
Well, thank you very much, Alex.
Farewell.
I appreciate it.
That's David Batker, and he's an ecological economist and executive director of Earth Economics in Seattle. And he's co-authored the report Wetlands, Hurricanes and the Economy, the Value of Restoring the Mississippi River Delta, which is up on their website if you want to take